Kenyan citizens, welcome, and this is the Current Affairs segment, your trusted source for the latest news, insightful discussions, and impactful stories shaping our nation and beyond. I'm Angela Kabete, and together with Mr. Kimotho, we're going to dive into what has been happening and uncover the truth behind the news. So make sure that you stay tuned as we break it down right here, right now. Mr. Kimotho, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
How is your week?
I'm doing good. Wiki imekuwa mzuri. Inaenda vizuri.
Salimia watazamaji.
First of all, washukuru watazamaji kwa vile wamekuwa pamoja na sisi. And as usual, we come there to the show so that we can see what has been happening.
Yeah. But before we dive into what has been happening, it is always our norm to give you the verse of the day and encouragement for you as our viewer. And today's verse comes from Psalms 143 verse 8, and I read, this is what it says. Cause me to hear thy loving kindness in the morning, for in thee do I trust. Cause me to know the way where I should walk, for I lift my soul unto thee. What an amazing verse this beautiful morning. And this verse is a heartfelt prayer of David during the time of distress, the time that was experiencing. And ukiangalia this verse, it expresses that his total dependence on God, trust, and also desire for guidance, because you understand David was a king, but at the end of the day, he still relied on God for everything, things like guidance. Na verse inaanza kwa kusema, cause me to hear thy loving kindness in the morning. And David is asking God to let him experience or be assured of the steadfast love of God. And hapo kwenye nasema in the morning is symbolic. It symbolizes that is renewal of hope and fresh mercy each and every day. And it brings that aspect here, a desire to stay grounded in God's love rather than fear, anxiety, confusion, desperation. You know, those times that you don't know what you want, where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, when, at what time, and everything. Even kumbusha that you need to trust in God. And then endelea kwa kusema that for in thee do I trust. David affirms his faith and trust in God alone, total dependence on God, total reliance of God in God, even in times of uncertainty. So ask yourself this beautiful morning, how many times do you rely on God? God is a bonus. Do you really rely on God in times of desperations and distress? And then anaendelea kwa kusema, cause me to know where I should walk in. He's asking for direction and wisdom. And this is something that is really good. And the walk, it represents that is our day-to-day lives as normal people. We need to involve God so that he can give us that is divine direction. Alafu anamalizia kwa kusema, for I lift my soul unto thee. When it says that I lift my soul unto thee, this shows total surrender. And it shows that David, he was offering himself fully, totally submitting and allowing God to take charge and control. And this shows that is humility and dependence of God. And overall, verse inatuambia that we need to trust in God in difficult times, seek his love, asking for his guidance, and also surrendering and relying on him. Yeah, Mr. Kimotho, what's your take on this verse?
My take on this verse, angalia vizuri hapa. David alikuwa each and every time ana seek that is from the Lord. Ukiangalia hata kama alikuwa anapitia any other situation ambayo alikuwa anapitia, trust yake yote alikuwa anamwachia Mungu. Ukiangalia pale ambao pia anasema that is yeye mwenyewe, especially ukiangalia anaomba that is the love kindness in the morning. Because sometimes how we command our morning depends with how the day that is ile siku ambayo itakuwa ilikuwa. Ukiangalia Daudi alipitia mambo mengi sana. Actually, zile vita alikuwa anapitia, hadi za family issues na watoto wake pale, alikuwa anapitia mambo mengi, but yeye aliamua ku trust that is in God despite of any situation ambayo ilikuwa pale, na alikuwa anaangalia njia zake sana na uhusiano wake kati ya na Mungu. So it is a good lesson that each and every time, each and every day, to make sure that ni jinsi gani ambavyo tunaangalia ama tunajihusisha kwa uhusiano wetu kati ya sisi na Mungu.
Yeah. And that is the verse of the day, and our spirits being renewed and refreshed this morning. Now let's look at the state of our nation and what is shaping the that is the landscape itself. I have the Daily Nation with me.
How the Standard newspaper.
And on today's Daily Nation, what we'll be checking out, tutakuwa tuangalia that is matters to do with politics. That is what we'll be checking out. Alafu tutaangalia that is matters to do with leadership. We'll be checking out that is the state of our economy. Tutaangalia matters to do with the health sector. Tutaangalia that is matters to do with the education sector, and matters that affects that is the human interest, that is the common mwananchi. What about you?
Yeah, pia kwa stara nikiangalia hapa kuna diplomatic issues ambazo ziko hapa, kuna politics ambazo zinaendelea hapa, business issues, among the other stories that we are going to see.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's start with the Daily Nation page 1. And ikiangalia hapa, it reads that divisions, mistrust and narrow national interest blamed for East Africa community that collapsed, that is in the year 1977. And that is the backstory of this is that the East Africa community collapsed, that is in 1997, due to mistrust and also competing for national interest. And Kenya and Tanzania have historically traded, and kumekuwa na that is tensions, especially around that is tariffs, transport routes that we share, and business access. And recently there have been disputes over trade. Tuliona that is last month kulikuwa na bottlenecks when it comes to matters to do with trade, kulikuwa na trade tariffs, and pia political tensions between that is the two countries. That is what you've been experiencing. And now currently what I'm seeing here now, the key headline in the Daily Nation page 1, it reads that Ruto's, now that is our president, Ruto's deal with Samia. And Ruto visited that is Tanzania, and Ruto visited that is Tanzania and addressed its parliament. And you can agree with me, this is a rare diplomatic gesture. I think it's the second president to address that is the Tanzanian government. That is in parliament. And nikiangalia hapa, that is page 1, there are key things that have been highlighted here at a glance, and I'm going to read them briefly. It reads that the different things that wali highlight. Number 1, kulikuwa na ties, and it reads that President Ruto is the second Kenyan leader to address the Tanzanian parliament. And then secondly, we have that is infrastructure. Ruto urges Tanzania to buy into oil refinery project back to rail growth. And then we have that is politics. President Suluhu laments Gen Z uprising, calls for joint crackdown on political dissent. Yeah. And then we have that is a trade. On the back of raging trade tiffs, the two sides agreed to reduce that is non-tariff barriers. This is a good thing because at least the local traders watakuwa supported, and this is going to boost our economy if this will work out. And it's from what I've read, that is politics, infrastructure, and trade. It means that the focus is on reducing that is non-tariff barriers and improving that is economic collaboration between the Kenyan government and the Tanzanian government. And then these are 6 agreements signed by the two nations, and zimekuwa mentioned hapa 1, 2, 3, yeah, there are 6. We have that is railway, cooperation on railway development from Voi to Singinda. And then we have that is agriculture, pact on measures to boost farming and trade. And then we have that is gas pipeline, agreement on feasibility study for a proposed natural gas pipeline from Dar es Salaam to Mombasa. And then we have that is mutual legal assistance, that is collaborating in resolving criminal matters. And then we have that is recognition of sea affairs, that is agreement on mutual recognition on sea affairs, yeah. And then seafarers, and then certificates, and then we have that is trade, target of 130 billion in new trade and 65 billion in fresh cross-border investments. You can agree with me, this is indeed a good thing, and it's going to boost that is the economy of both countries. Now, we can say that strong partnerships like this, where that is East Africa needs progress over politics, we can say this is a good
kwamba the impact itself bado haijakuwa accommodated to the common mwananchi. That is kwa sababu the mentality that is there right now. But it is a good project, and every other project that comes, because kumwe kuna employment itakuwa pale, kumke at the same time kuta the environment ambazo the project ambayo itakuwa ikifanyika mahali kama that is the rural na zingine zitakuwa zikipitia pale. There are some of the areas ambao pia zitaweza kufaidika pale, kutakuwa na biashara to certain towns, to certain areas ambazo zitakuwa ziko pale. So it is a good thing that is economically and actually now what should be done, they should now focus to it completely. But the issue is, in our nation we like trying to politicize so much, so that even if there is a project ambayo iko, we try to politicize, tuna initiate politics in it, hadi unakuta development inakuwa delayed. So in the time ambayo iko for now, they should really push for it, and it is a good thing. It's going now to open that is access to so many things, and I know it is going to have a positive impact that is economically.
It's going to be a good thing indeed, and also it's going to bring that is political stability between the two nations, and this may attract investors from that is both sides, that is from the Tanzanian government and also from the Kenyan government as well. Na pia wananchi watuambie, do you really understand these things that were signed over your like tushazoea mambo? What do you think about this? Is this something that you feel itakusaidia like tusonge hii ni Kenya tushazoea? Talk to us on 0799 200 100, and I'm so glad and happy to read your comment. And away from these matters, what do you have there? And
also not so much away, but also to add on the issues of diplomatic issues, especially now with Kenya and Tanzania. And I think Kenya, I don't know, ni kama kuna sifa fulani tuko nayo sana. I think we know so much, hadi tunajua sana kuliko hata wale wenyeji wa the other side. And it is something about that appeared, because ukiangalia kama hiyo the good treaties between Kenya and Tanzania, and also the other economic, that is a variation between Kenya, Uganda, Sudan, and the other nations, our neighboring nation. It is a good thing. But unajua sasa kuna kuwa na ile mpaka, because siwezi sema ati ninajua kwako sana kuliko wewe mwenyewe venye unajua kwako. So it is something ambayo ili come up, and wakati that is the president pia alikuwa na visit that is pale Tanzania. And sometimes it's good to be very sincere, because on vile huwa aliongea mambo ya refinery, na jinsi ambavyo aliongea the president wa the other nation, yeye alisema hakuwa anajua. Na nikiangalia history imeangazia hapa, that is kwa gazeti la Standard, na gazeti la Standard wame highlight that is certain that is issues ambazo zimekuwa zikiwa highlighted. Remember that is any tweet ambayo inatoka from the CS pia inakuwa regarded as somehow kind of an official communication. Any tweet that comes even from the president ama any other, saizi ni kama inachukuliwa kwa njia tofauti ama in kind of an unofficial way. Remember that these diplomatic ties ambazo ziko pale, they really matters, even if in terms of development, but also in terms of communication, in terms of also what do I say concerning certain thing. So na nikiangalia hapa, that is a gazeti la Standard, that is on the front page. Nikiangalia hapa umeka that is a picture ya president na pia president wa Tanzania, na nikiangalia hapa pia naona kuna picha ya former CS, that is Moses Kuria, kuna Alfred Mutua yuko hapa pia. Nikiangalia hapa kuna picha of our president na the president wa kule China, na kuna masuala mengi hapa nikiangalia yameweza kuguziwa hapa concerning certain things ambazo zimekuwa zikifanyika. Like for example, kama that is 2023, the then trade CS Moses Kuria was disowned by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs after suggesting that invasion to Khartoum, that is Sudan pale. Kumbuke na huyu alikuwa ni CS ambayo pia aliweza kutoa certain information ambayo pia iliweza kuleta that is msisimko kiasi. Then also that is kuna ile that is Canadian jobs in 2023, the then foreign and diaspora affairs CS Alfred Mutua was forced to clarify a statement about jobs in Canada after the Canadian Immigration Department disowned it. So you can actually see that the CS anasema hivi, but the government of that nation pia wana disown that information because their government, that is entities ambao wana consider any information as information ikienda to the public inaweza that is corrode certain things ambazo ziko pale, na kuna other that is a government ambazo wanachukulia maanani sana any information that comes out. So we also saw that is some of the remarks that our president aliweza that is kuyaongelea. Remember that is wakati pia alikuwa anaongelea mambo ya the fuel, aliweza kusema that is the economy ya Kenya vile ilivyo, na akaanza ku explain even some of the kilometers in our nation, na pia akaenda to explain some of the kilometers in other neighboring nation. Na tukaona especially now that is one of the minister that is from Tanzania akipeana pia the correct information now from their nation. So nikiangalia pia pa gazeti la Standard nimeangazia the same issues because our president alikuwa pale, alivisit that is the parliament pale, na aliweza that is ku explain. But nikiangalia hapa that is kulingana na gazeti that is la Standard, wanasema ya kwamba at the meeting that is Ruto said Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania and Sudan had a track deal to establish Tanga refinery in Tanzania. Suluhu maintained she was not aware of the deal. So at a joint conference that is in Dodoma on Monday, Suluhu revealed that she had that is pre-mandate that is President Ruto for announcing plans for the Tanga refinery without consulting her first, while maintaining that she had no knowledge of the joint project. So the project is good and everything else is good, but maybe the timing ndio ilikuwa pengine ya kuweza kuannounce. But also at the same time it shows that we should actually try to see how that is we have a relationship between that is our neighboring nation. And actually this thing was also politicized. Nikiangalia that is kulingana na our that is our local that is politics ilikuwa politicized with some of the opposition leaders ambao pia waliweza kuchukulia issue na njia nyingine. But ukiangalia now the president of Tanzania, she was very sincere. You just come explain now to the members of parliament what you are trying to say, because now it shows also at the same time pia kuna sifa fulani ambayo pia tuko nayo in other nations. So it is always good that that is anyone ambayo in government that is to ensure that the information that they give pia haituharibi sifa ambayo pia inatupatia pia sifa nzuri, because the deal is good. But ukiangalia now the president of Tanzania aliweza ku disown herself now from how the information related to the public. And also pia at the same time pia kwa hiyo tuliona that is Suluhu, that is the president for Tanzania, alisema crackdown call on Gen Z, right, that is activist, that is a pool, kwa sababu ukiangalia pale alikuwa anasema ya kwamba wakikuja upande huu tuwanyoroshe kiboko, wakikuja upande ule mwingine, kwa sababu ya zile that is the demonstration ambazo zilikuwa ziko pale. So it shows that the East African pia wanafaa wakuwe na ile that is a better demonstration of the human rights, that is especially when it comes to the issue of demonstration, how they handle it, especially now the security forces, and also how the government tries to address the certain situation. Isionekane kana kwamba ni kama wanasema tufanye hii, ulifanya kwako aje na mimi nilifanya hii, kwa hivyo akikuja kwangu na mimi nifanye hii. It is good that according now to the Human Rights Commission, vile ambavyo wanasema hapa hivi that kila mtu akona right ya demonstration na ku air out their views, na pia kuna the East African that is a constitution ambayo wanafaa pia waweze kuifuatilia pale. So kuna masuala mengi ambayo pia yanajaribu kuangalia the two nations, ambavyo jinsi ambavyo wanaongea na jinsi pia ambavyo wanasema. Na pia at the same time nikiangalia hapa kwa gazeti la Standard inaongelea hiyo story kwa page 4 na pia page 5, wanaweza kuelezea vizuri. So wakati pia the project kama hizo ambazo zinakuja between the two nations, it is a good project because kumbuke pia the railway pia interconnect hadi Uganda na pia some other nations, na pia ita cross border to other nations, na pia ita increase that is the economic, but at the same time kuna masuala fulani kama haya politically ambayo unaona pia yanaleta msisimko kidogo. Yes.
Okay. And away from that, on other stories that is matters to do with the education, on page 7 of the Daily Nation, it reads that agency over 151,000 pioneer CBE learners dropped out before grade 10. And you know, the question is, well, drop out wakaenda wapi? Because this doesn't sound like a good thing at all. And you know, Kenya introduced that is the competency-based curriculum to replace that is the 844 system. And the transition from primary to junior secondary has faced a lot of challenges. We have that is teachers' gaps, infrastructure shortages, and pia kumekuwa that is financial strain on families. And now currently ukiangalia that is the Daily Nation, it's bringing that 151,000 learners have not transitioned to that is the junior secondary schools. And the key reasons then zimekuwa highlighted here ni a lack of school fees, a hidden cost, that is uniform, transport, materials and everything, na pia confusion during the transition. Does it mean that if there is confusion, it means that there is an urgency, or there is a need, or it's a call to action for that is civic education to the Kenyan citizens and the parents as well, so that they can get to understand these things. And it means that pia it's bringing that aspect here. Education reform should not leave children behind, and access must come before that is structure. And you know, every child deserves that is a fair chance to continue learning. And then I can see here that is 1.3 million number of grade 9 learners in school last year, a drop from the initial that is cohort of 1.28 million. Okay, so it dropped, that is from 1.28 million to 1.13 million. How wanafunzi wengine walienda wapi? Are they at home? Because this is not a good at all. It's going to bring a great impact. Kunaweza kuwa that is risk of child labor, early marriages, crime and everything. Na pia it's bring an impact in increase that is increased school dropout rates. It brings that is the educational gap in our country and long-term inequality. And pia it's undermining that is the education reforms, or the goals of the CBC reforms that were there. So something should be done about it, and the government should really act upon this, because it's not a good thing at all. Something needs to be done about it. You know, education is a key sector. Actually, it's a major sector which needs that is action, and they should do something about it, because at the moment, Mr. Kimotho, this sounds like a priority. Yeah.
Indeed, it is a priority, and the education should be taken with a lot of seriousness, especially when also it comes to deal with the issue of the school fees, because pia remember that kulikuwa na motion ambayo alikuwa nasema why don't we consolidate all these funds to one that is an entity instead ya kuzifanya that is kuzidistribute to the MCA, MP, governor and everybody else. Kwa nini hizi funds zote wakati budget inafanya zote zisipelekwe to the Ministry of Education and entirely the education that is equal free to each and every public schools ambayo tuko nazo hapa. And this is some of the issue ambayo inaweza saidia sana, because unajua wakati mzazi anajua kwamba sasa education it is free, mtoto aende pale shuleni, now maybe sasa kile kitu ambacho anafaa kushughulikia ni masuala pengine machache sana pale, and this is something that needs to be done, because ukiangalia nao kulingana na hiyo statistics, the issue of school fees pia ni one of the other reason. Pia saizi pia kuna the issue of floods, because kuna some of the areas ambazo ziko flooded, na pia the issue that is kuna some of the areas pia tumeona that is kuna mambo na bandi ambazo pia yameanza kurejea pale. Some of the issues to do in security, some issues are also to do with also that is early marriages ambazo ziko pale, na pia kuna ile feeding program ambayo pia imekuwa kwa pale shule, because the feeding program imekuwa pia ikifanya watoto wengi waende pale shule. So wakati the feeding program pia wakati unakuta kwamba haiko kwa shule, inabidi huyo mtoto na mzazi pengine kesho waende pia kuweza kutafuta that is kitu cha kukula. So it's something that the government should address. And also among the other issues is that to add on top is also they should also see the situation of the schools vile ambao ziko pale, and also pia the issues of the teachers. Pia wanafaa waweze kuangalia all those issues, ndio pia kusiwe na strain on the side of the teachers, na pia they should try to make that the learning issue at least free and fair and so better and comfortable, because it is the right of each and every Kenyan child to have that is a right to education.
And you know, funny enough, you'll see politicians, they are not going to address this. They will wait for a minor thing in itatokea, wa brush off this issue, and then they focus on the minor issue. Something needs to be done about it.
Yeah.
And something else what you're
So on other stories is that I think something needs to be done on how we handle certain situations, because tumekuwa tukiona kuna demonstrations zimekuwa zikiendelea pale, especially Marurui demonstration, na pia nikiangalia hapa kuna one of the MC among those charged that is a road that is a blockage. The Ministry of Land should also try to come out clear, because if they have a designated area that is maybe a swamp area, irrigation area, road reserve, and any other that is a public entity, they should not issue those title deed, so that in case that ukienda kufanya search pale unakuta hiyo title deed inafai kuelezea kwamba that is a public land. Because the issue hiyo ambayo iko hapa na tukiangalia kulingana na the information ambayo iko pale, kuna other innocent Kenyans ambao wanajipata kwa that situation. Unakuta a certain company imenunua that land, na ikinunua that land inaenda inapata hadi the title deed ambayo wanakuwa the issue with the title deed, then mwananchi ambaye amejitolea sana amesave ili aweze kusettle anakuja ananunua na wanamuuzia. Then sasa hii kesi inafika ya kwamba the company itself ya kwamba how that is the acquisition of the land ikakuwa ni illegal. So instead now the law ienda kwa the company ambayo iliweza kuuzia hawa, unakuta nao huyu ambaye amenunua ndiye anabeba huo mzigo, na kiena hata kwa sheria unakuta ya kwamba that is hakuna mahali ambapo hata wanajaribu that is kuweza kusikiza the case. Na tumekuwa tukiangalia hizi distractions zimekuwa zikifanyika pale. Yes, kuna wale ambao wamekuwa kijenga that is kwa barabara, kwa reserve, that is kwa the railroad lines and other that is a public entities. But pia at the same time kuna wale ambao pia pata in a certain situation, because just a normal Kenyan, you cannot be able to identify mahali pengine ni riparian land ama mahali pengine pamekuwa designated pengine ni mtu anafai pite pale ila hali wewe huoni kitu. But this is something that is being urged also from that is the ministry that is of lands to be able now to to address these issues. Na nikiangalia hapa that is gazeti la Standard that is on page 7 inaelezea that is the Maruri destruction, that is a demonstration, that is a demolition ambayo imekuwa ikiendelea pale. So this follows that is a protest after demolition of houses in that is a disputed, that is a piece of land. Remember that also kulikuwa na the other case ambayo tulikuwa tumeona somewhere in Nairobi, that is unakuta that is kulikuwa na court ruling ya kwamba almost that is karibu maybe 900 acres zirudishio the initial owners, and yet kuna wale ambao walikuwa wamenunua pale. So ilibidi the owners wakae chini pamoja na hawa waweze kusikizana. So this is something that need to be done, because tuliona that is a lot of millions were destroyed pale, na ila hali unakuta wengine bado wako na loan. Actually kuna mwingine alikuwa anasema yes nimekuwa destroyed, that is this property, I don't know where to go, watoto walienda shule, I don't know wakirudi tutakaa wapi na nini itafanyika pale. So I think also something needs to be addressed very well and very correctly, because even if hata kama kuna haya masuala ambayo yamefanyika, that is who should carry that is this burden, who should carry now this cross, because unakuta that is kuna some of the other innocent Kenyans ambao that is walipatikana kwa hii issue. So nikiangalia hapa wanasema after affected residents and property owners, some of whom claim to have lived on the land for over 2 decades, with a few that is attesting that is since 1989 argued that the property had been legally subdivided and sold to them. Many alleged they received no a proper eviction notice, and that a court order halting the demonstration was ignored. So kuna hii that is a Lantern Investment, however, maintained that it had issued public notices cautioning that is a potential buyers and developers against purchasing the contest 300 acres piece of land. So ukiangalia na hapa kuna hii that is a issue ambayo inaendelea hapa, and sometimes it's always good that this situation to be handled in a certain way, even if hata kuna haya maswala ambayo yamefanyika pale. I think a certain law should now be implemented on how we deal with these issues, because ukiangalia mtu ambaye ameishi hapo since 1989 amekuwa pale, and that sasa overnight mnamwambia hafai kukaa pale. Something needs to be addressed when it comes now to the constitution, and also that is our leaders also pia wanafaa angalia pale, because unakuta nao kuna a lot of pain. Ukiangalia hapa kuna mtu ambaye anasema ali invest a lot of millions that is to purchase the land na pia kuweza kujenga pale, and so many other issues ambazo zimeendelea pale. Unakuta kuna court order inatolewa ya demolition isifanyike, court order nyingine inatolewa ya kwamba demolition ifanyike, na yule ambao kuna uzito zaidi unakuta ndio now the police officers wanakuja pale na that inakuwa enforced. So this is some of the issue ambayo nimeona imeaddressiwa hapa, and ni kitu ambayo imekuwa ki-affect so many other Kenyans.
Yeah. All right. Something should be done about it, and it feels like that is what we've been saying constituency shows. Something should be done about it, and these are the major issues because they're affecting that is the day-to-day mwananchi. So it means that the Kenyan citizen pia wanafaa kukuwa priority, so the government should act on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now let's check that is politics, because I don't think tuangalia politics. Page 6 of the Daily Nation. We have that is matters to do with politics, and mtu wako hapa naona kuna picha ya Sifuna and the Edwin Sifuna, that is Nairobi Senator, and we have that is a Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi, and they're calling it up in Miandikwa that is hard ball. And apart from demand for Dr. Oginga's resignation, they want the unconditional reversal of all unpopular decisions that were made within the party. And I know that is ODM has faced divisions over leadership and direction since the day of that is the late Raila Odinga. Tumeona kumekuwa na disputes, wrangles, disagreements, and a lot of things zimekuwa zikihappen that is in the party. And now currently the party leadership is issuing conditions and addressing that is internal wrangles. And now does it feel like they're addressing internal wrangles, ama they're making things to be worse, ama they're exacerbating? Which is which? What do you think about this? And Sifuna's group sets terms for ceasefire with Oburu. And then there is a statement here from Senator Osotsi, anasema that if our colleagues, our mention majina, but anasema if our colleagues have realized they made mistakes and they want us to reconcile, we will have to give them preconditions because we no longer trust them. That is what he said, and this is something that is very interesting. And in addition to that, here they're calling it breakaway. ODM team rules out rejoining forces with Dr. Odinga factions unless the outfit reverses all its major decisions within the party. And there are a lot of things zenye zimekuwa addressed here. Naona pia mentioned that is the Linda Mwananchi, and they're saying that the Linda Mwananchi faction of the ODM party has issued a raft of near impossible conditions for any reunion with the rival Linda ground team under party leadership of that is the interim leader Dr. Oburu Odinga, following an appeal for them to come back home. So who is coming back home? Because Mr. Kimotho Kiangalia, it feels like they have already divided, because imagine you have that is the ODM party, under the ODM party we have that is we have Linda Mwananchi, and then we have that is Linda Ground. Do you think it's possible the ODM party to maintain its position as the strong opposition party that it's known for?
Actually, we saw that is a Linda Mwananchi movement ilianza, then now immediately wakaanza pia kuweka ile ingine yao pia
Linda Ground.
Linda Ground,
Yeah.
Just trying to show people that whatever this is doing is also our other side of B. So we are still the same, because kuna ile political effect ambayo aliweza kusikia. And actually now tumeona that is according to some of the statement pia wakiweza, it's kind of wako na rallying call ya kusema come back home. Come back home, come back home, come back home. So kuna hiyo, that is a issue tumekuwa tukiona pale, na pia the same time ukiangalia kuna ile that is the tribunal ambayo iko pale kwa that is ORPP ambao na deal na mambo na political that is a parties. Kuna ile tribunal ambayo inasema ya kwamba that is any outcome ambao the ODM that is the unajua kila chama iko na tribunal yake. So any outcome ambayo the ODM watafanya concerning the disciplinary action against Sifuna hawataitikia, kwa sababu bado kuna kesi ambayo wao wanashughulikia pale. So it means that Edwin Sifuna is still the Secretary General of ODM. And him being a secretary that is general of ODM, he can also call for that is for the consensus. He can also call that is for people to come together. So bado kuna yale mamlaka ambayo ako nayo pale. So that's why unaona pia na hao wengine wanamwambia please come back home, because they know the powers ambayo ako nayo according now to the political parties act bado ziko juu sana, because he can do a lot when it comes now to the mobilization of members.
Yeah, I can see hapa Mr. Arati alisema the same words that you're saying, come home brothers and sisters, we can rebuild our house together. So we did respond to this call, and there are a lot of things, there are a lot of conditions that they gave, and one of them, I'm not going to read them because of time, but I'm just going to highlight this one. It also listed the suspension of political engagements between the ODM and the ruling United Democratic Alliance, that is the UDA, and the full implementation of the 10-point agenda, as they agreed between that is President William Ruto and the late Mr. Odinga. So let's see if this will happen. Apia wananchi watuambie if wanaelewa the 10-point agenda. You know, this is something that usually mention every day. Ukiwatch news inakuwa mention, and probably Kenyan citizens, they don't understand what this the 10-point agendas are.
And actually pia at the same time unajua kuna ile ni gani kuna so much influence. Such that if what will happen politically, if the Linda Ground wapatane na the Linda Mwananchi wakuwe kitu moja, so who will lose politically, who will gain politically. At the same time wakiendelea ku split pale, pia the same way pia kuna gains, and also that is kuna yule ata gain, kuna yule ata lose. But ukiangalia nao kulingana na vile ambavyo ni kwa sababu wanajua the powers ambazo the Secretary General wako nao, na pia the same time kuna ile influence ambayo amekuwa initialize, na pia the vile umesema the 10-point agenda zile ambazo ziko pale, hizo most of the times inakuwa ignored.
So let's see what will happen, because this is politics. Leo kuko hivi, kesho kuko hivi. I guess that is what we had to check on what has been happening.
Among the other stories, you can grab your standard, that is a newspaper, or that is a nation newspaper. Naweza kuangalia masuala ambayo yako pale, business fuel, na masuala mengine ambayo yako pale ambayo ameweza kuangazia kwa gazeti.
Alright, you have something to tell the viewers?
Just to say thank you for being there, na pia kwa pamoja na sisi, for giving us your comment. Have a blessed day.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in for today's segment, that is the current affairs. I always here every morning to making sure that you as a Kenyan citizen out there, you stay updated of what is happening that is in our country and beyond. I'm Angela Kabete. Till next time, bye bye.